I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? You are now listening to another episode of the Man Listen Show. But before we get started, let's hear a few words from our sponsors.
DD's Daiquiris is your #1 supplier of premium daiquiri mixes. You will love the taste of our classic margarita and signature strawberry mixes. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at DD's Daiquiris. DD is spelled DEEDEE. You can also find us at www.dd'sdaiquiris.com. DD's Daiquiris, giving good vibes to good people, one good drink at a time.
More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services offers individual and relationship counseling as well as mediation services to the community. At More Grace, healthy partnerships are valuable and beneficial. Please visit the website www.moregracecounseling.com for more information about our approach to counseling. More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services, where we offer more grace and more healing.
Please buy the new book by Arika Nicole Moore, Diabolical Tales of Woe. Diabolical Tales of Woe is a thrilling collection of short horror stories that leave you in an excited trepidation to see what will happen next. Prepare to face one horrific encounter after the next in this captivating novel. You can find this book on Amazon in the Kindle and paperback version. That is Diabolical Tales of Woe by Arika Nicole Moore. Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can also subscribe to the show on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment. And make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Man, so we did a show on people hating on Sha'Carri Richardson, and a lot has transpired since then. She got caught smoking the ganja, and she got, a 30-day suspension, which could have been okay. It would have eliminated her from participating in the 100-meter dash. She chose not to run the 200. I don't know why, but that 30-day suspension would eliminate her from participating in the 100-meter, but it still allowed the opportunity for her to participate in the 4x1. But Team USA decided not to pick her up, so she won't be in the Olympics this year. So I'm looking right now, and I see that there's a big petition going out, people signing to try to get her to be added to the team. And, some people are kind of like, hey, man, she's getting, the punishment that she's supposed to get. She knows she's tested. She knows she's not supposed to do that. Me personally, I think with, marijuana being legal in several places across the country, they probably need to revisit that, because I don't think it's a performance enhancing drug. I mean, if anything, folks I know when they own weed, they get slower. So what y'all think, man? Y'all think they should give her some leeway, add her to the team, or what?
They're not trying to give none of us no leeway. They waiting in the wings for one of these rules to trip one of us up so that we can't go out there and show all of them up. I think that meme where it's like the black runners are hugging and like excited at the end, and the white runners are on the ground crying and struggling is like a perfect example of why they don't want to let her on the team. I mean, she out here setting records and being great regardless. So she may have been working towards going to the Olympics, but she doesn't need that to validate her. So
I mean, I don't think I would ever like, go against anybody, especially like a young black sister. So I'm not really going to say they shouldn't let her on the team. But I mean, I just think at this point, she's got a lot going on, and they probably think like, at this point, she might be a liability. They don't really know where her headspace is. So I see why they made a decision to not allow her on the team. I mean, she's fast and talented enough. She's young. If she keeps her head on straight, we'll see her 4 years from now and she'll be fine. But I agree with you. I don't know why they're testing for marijuana because if anything, that should have gave her an opponent to, more of an advantage. Like, she's got like wind. She's not tired. I don't know. So
Or maybe her tolerance is just that high. But
that's true. That's true.
nah, but leeway. I would love to see them. I don't even think it's leeway. You know what I mean? I think they should have chosen for at least a 4x1. But as far as testing for weed, what I heard somebody say, explained it like this: weed is potentially a masking agent. So you can take performance enhancing drugs and then the weed will mask that when it's in your system. So weed itself isn't a performance enhancing drug. So that's a lot of guys get busted for masking agents, not necessarily PEDs. So
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I didn't know that. I think the problem that I have is it seems as if there's a lot of rules being thrown at Black women. Sha'Carri messed up. She smoked weed. She knew she wasn't supposed to do that. So when she stood tall. She said, "Hey, I'm human. I made a mistake." And I've always told my children, "Hey, when you make a mistake, you man up, you woman up, and you accept the blame for that. That doesn't absolve you from the repercussions from your actions." And she's suffering from that. I have a homeboy. Shout out to my boy Jimmy. He said she might become like a new spokesperson or a figurehead for weed usage, for legalizing weed. And I was like, oh, you got a point there. You know what I'm saying? I kind of clowned him, but you got a point. But we're seeing Black women being targeted all throughout this. Simone Biles, the targeting of her with her routine and her abilities and how they're going after her, and how they're saying you can't do this particular move because the other girls might get hurt. You're looking at the Black women who they naturally produce a certain level of testosterone, and they're being told that they have to take some sort of medicine to bring those levels down, or they can't compete. And that's wrong. I understand that they may be going after transgender, transsexual persons with this legislation, but to go after Black women in this way, this seems wrong. So that's the only problem that I kind of have with this whole attack I frame it as an attack that they have on Black women, even though Sha'Carri did make a mistake.
Don't forget too, they won't let the Black women wear the swim caps that they need to cover up their natural hair. That's a little bit larger than the ones where the white girls just slick their hair back under or whatever.
That's another piece. Yeah, that's another piece.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I was more upset with the swim caps and then the testosterone levels than I was really with Sha'Carri getting in trouble for smoking marijuana. As far as those, as far as them testing for testosterone, so I think that that's not really so much just an attack on Black women. I think that's just it's a gray area, like you said. They're trying to stop like transsexuals from competing against other women, and I don't really have the answer for that.
Let's try to get that right. Let's try to get that right. What's the difference between transsexual and transgender? I know, Lab, you kind of.
Oh, I don't know.
I think transsexuals they completed the process, from my understanding. Transgender is somebody that hasn't undergone the full gender replacement surgery.
So I should say trans athlete then, because I'm talking about both of them, I guess.
Well,
so I'd say trans athlete.
Nah, I mean probably trans. So transsexual don't have to tuck. Transgender got to tuck.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna say trans athlete. Okay, let me start all over.
Please
Okay.
just say trans athlete and let's not say tuck and untuck. Let's not.
What, you act like they don't? Do they not tuck?
They do, but nobody want to picture that right now.
They be
Yeah.
proud of their tucks. They be proud of their tucks too. I mean,
Yeah.
for real. I know.
I mean, that'd be obvious though in the track and field, wouldn't it?
Yeah, unless
You
it's
think.
small.
You would think, but
I mean,
I know.
Call on one today.
Start all over. I don't even remember. Oh, okay, I think I was just saying, now as far as the Olympics testing for testosterone levels, I don't think that's just an attack on Black women. I think that's an attack on all women. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to regulate to make sure there's not trans athletes competing against women, which, automatically puts, natural born women at a disadvantage. But I don't think there's any way for them to do that without, sometimes women taking a hit, like as far as the athletes that were born as women that aren't able to compete. And it's almost like I get that, everybody wants to include everybody, and the Olympics want to be inclusive, I'm all for, people can live their life, be who you want to be. But I think that when you can do that without stepping on the backs of women. And I think that if they allow them to compete, women are going to be at the disadvantage. And so it's almost like there just needs to be a separate league. But, I don't know if that'll ever happen.
I mean, women had to go find a WNBA, so
Yeah.
and I mean, it still hasn't gotten the traction or the attention that they feel it deserves. So you got to start from the bottom, just like everybody else had to. So, I mean, I get it to a certain extent. I don't think we should be testing women and excluding them based on their natural body levels.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing. I think if you're going to make a ruling because you're trying to exclude somebody, you should stand on what you're trying to do. And don't just let Black women be the fall guy for you trying to pretend you're not being anti-trans.
Right.
If that's what you're trying to do that.
Yeah.
But don't, make it seem like, oh, no, that's not what we're trying to do. And then just let us be the fall guy for it. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just say you have to compete, with, the people you were born with. I don't know. Like I said, everybody's not going to like it, but when it starts putting other people at a disadvantage, then it's no longer equal rights either.
Yeah, because I think I can't remember where it was. There was a story where a person had, completed the transition, and they were like blowing the records for women like out the water. You know what I mean? Like just blowing them out the water. And I'm like, man, that's just so incredibly unfair to those young women who are competing. And I saw a story where it was a MMA fighter who was competing. Of course, they threw a Black girl in front of this person, and that Black girl got the hell beat out of her, got her like her skull split and all that stuff. Because technically, she was fighting somebody, even though they are now a woman, still had the bone structure of a man. So it's just I definitely think there needs to be a separate category for people who want to transition to compete against one another to keep it fair towards women. And the sad thing about it is, y'all talked about the attention for women's sports and WNBA. Women's basketball, when you watch it, it's actually better than men's basketball. It's not as high flying. You don't see the dunks and all that type of stuff. But in terms of like pure basketball, being able to shoot, run plays, and all that, it's much more entertaining if you're a fan. If you're a fan of the game, than men's basketball. And speaking of which, men's basketball might be in trouble because they done lost 2 in a row. They lost to Nigeria, then they lost to Australia. I don't know what the deal is. What y'all think? They gonna medal this year or what?
No, I don't think so. But I think so. We don't have the best out there for one, and those other countries have the best of the best playing. We got too many people sitting. LeBron's not playing. Steph's not playing. I mean, we really don't have like any strong bigs playing, so I don't know. I don't. No, I don't think they're going to medal this time around, though. I think this is just the first time they've lost two exhibition games ever, and like the first time they lost one since the '90s or something like that.
Since NBA players been playing, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they said. I guess I don't know when this was, but Pop, this is his second time in a major competition coaching, and they lost a game in that too, or 2 games in that, something like that. But I think they'll medal. I think part of it is these guys. Australia has a bunch of NBA cats. Nigeria has NBA guys on it, and then Mike Brown, the old Cavs coach, is Nigeria's coach. I think they might have just been taking it. I ain't gonna say taking it easy on them, but just relaxing, getting into the flow of the game. I don't think they were taking it too serious. And LeBron sets the tone for wherever he plays. And I think if he was on the team, they probably would have a little more focus, or someone like LeBron. I don't want to just say it's LeBron only, but there are other players who provide that, which the guys on the team now, they don't really have that.
Well, they missing LeBron, they missing Steph. Who else they missing? AD, Kyrie. They're missing a lot of key guys.
They're missing Giannis.
Well, Giannis
He played.
He plays for
He
Greece.
played for Greek,
Yeah.
Greece or whatever. I said Greek. He can play for Greek.
Greece.
Yeah.
Devin Booker. But the thing about it is,
He's coming though.
Yeah.
Chris Paul been on the team in the past. Yeah.
Chris. So they're missing a lot of leadership. But speaking of LeBron, he spoke on this though, and he spoke on how when they had that extended season, the bubble season, and then they came back right at the regular time to start this new season. LeBron talked about it. He talked about, hey man, that's not enough rest. It's not enough rest for these players' bodies. And you've been seeing a lot of injuries in these playoffs. Yeah. You've seen a lot of injuries. And I believe that it's going to affect them during these Olympics as well, because those guys are going to be tired. They're not going to, and you could say that, okay, there's NBA players on those other teams like Lav made mention of, but those other countries, those guys are professional as well. And
right.
They play together. They have, they're in sync with one another, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because I think during the Olympics, that's probably the most time I'm patriotic. Like, I want us to get the gold and everything, but it don't look like it's going to happen in basketball. Yeah. Not men's basketball.
I'm patriotic. Right. I'm patriotic just in a different way. I just go for all the ADOS people. So,
Yeah.
Simone got us.
Huh?
Simone got us. We'll get some gold from Simone.
Yeah, I mean, and track and field too. We got a lot of
track and field.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But track and field, our brothers and sisters, they're gonna run to the best of their ability. But speaking of running, good transition. Here in Texas, Governor Rollaway, Governor Abbott, they on a binge right now, and they are doing it like a lot of other Republican state elected officials. That was wrong. Republican state elected officials, and they are really going after our ability to vote. You saw it in Georgia. Now you see it in Texas. And the Democratic state elected officials are trying to fight these, what a lot of people are calling the new Jim Crow laws that these people are trying to put in. And they have left the state of Texas. So what they have done, Governor Abbott has put into effect this special assembly. And, I may be wrong with some of the details. So for people who are listening and want to correct me, just, bear with me. But they've taken it, he's called the special assembly so they can vote on these new oppressive voting rights laws, because they're really mad about how close Texas was last year with the Biden and Trump election, and they see how it's trending. I mean, you really see how they're really trying their best to try to circumvent this trend, because, white supremacy, the dominant society, they're being outnumbered, they're dying off. So that's why you see them attacking the courts. And now you see them trying to attack the state houses with our voting rights. So these Texas Democrats, they left the state. because if they're not present, then a vote can't be had. And if they're in the state of Texas, they can be detained and brought and made to be present so that the vote can go through. So I think they're doing something that's real courageous. I believe there's a young sister who's a state elected official, a Democrat. She said they have to hold off until like September, and we're right at the end of July, mid part of July, to make this happen. But you know, we all stay in red states. What do y'all think about this? And is there anything that you would like to see from Biden to help protect us? Because if they really they coming after the black vote, they can try to say it's for Trump's big lie, but they're attacking our vote. And if Biden wants to protect us, something needs to be done for this right here.
I'm not waiting on Biden to do anything for me. What I'm trying to do is get out here and motivate these young people to not just vote, but understand who they're voting for, what each position does. Like in the class I taught today, the kids were like, what's an alderman? And why didn't we learn about this in AP government? And the truth of the matter is like, it's like I told them, a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. And so we basically have to make sure that we are teaching each person that we run into, whatever it is that we've come across. Just like how you guys found out about Black Wall Street at Country Kitchen or wherever you guys were in Columbia, we gotta just.
It was in Kansas City and it was at the IHOP.
IHOP, okay. But same thing, how somebody just decided to impart knowledge on you. We have to do the same thing. We have to speak about candidates. We have to speak about what political positions hold power in our cities and in our state, and basically force this knowledge on everyone who has voting ability so that we can make the changes that we need to make for ourselves. Because a lot of times we spend too much of our energy and time waiting on our savior to come through. And if we wait on Biden and he don't come through, then we're screwed. If we do it ourselves and Biden comes through, then okay. But we should make sure we're good either way. We have to do that from now on. We have to always make sure we are good either way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we can really count on Uncle Joe to do some of the things that we kind of expected him to do. He doesn't seem to have much of an appetite for fighting, whereas the other side, they come in all the time. They ready for knockdown, drag out. They're gonna pull every trick in the book that's available to them. And it is disheartening when the people that you entrust to represent your best interests don't have that same fervor, that same energy as the other side. They just want to get along, and that's part of the reason why we're in the situation that we're in now, because a lot of our elected officials have been walked over and stomped over and dragged for years. And so I think that's a good thing, what you were saying, Arika, is that we need to make sure we're out there informing the people, the people we know, kids we know. Sometimes it's not even kids, sometimes it's other adults who don't even have a firm grasp for what's happening or what's wrong with the bills that are being proposed. Like I can't for the life of me understand why you would not want people to have the ability to vote early. Like that makes no sense to me. Yeah, absolutely no sense. And I don't know. I'm just at a loss for words on that. And all these states are doing, nothing more than, like Marv said, Jim Crow or voter suppression.
Well, the reason why they want to eliminate early voting because they know that's when we vote.
Right. But it makes no sense logically why you would not want people to be able to vote early. It makes no sense.
But, you're right. But white supremacy makes no sense. They're not supreme over anything. They're basically mediocre as fuck. And so it makes no sense. And you're right. The Democrats just don't have the will to fight. We get into office and we just throw a pep rally. The reason why we in this situation is because when Obama got put into office, it was this big pep rally, right? And the Republicans, They didn't. They was like, wait a minute. They got the president, they got the state, they got the Senate and the House. How can we fix this? So they went after all the state houses. They went after the governor's mansions, and they attacked all those things. Why? Because they realized those are the places that control the votes. That's where we can gerrymander. That's where we can make sure that we rig this to our advantage. And the Democrats fell asleep at the wheel. Like right now, they have a simple majority, right, with Kamala Harris. The filibuster is the main thing, and now you got black civil rights leaders saying, "Hey, Joe, go after this filibuster, man. They're going after black people. What you gonna do?" And too often he hides behind, I'm not gonna step outside the bounds of the Constitution." Dude, do you not see how they fight? Do you not see how what they did with Obama when he had that Supreme Court justice and they said, "Nah, we ain't gonna give you no vote." And then when it came to Trump, yeah, well, you know what? We're gonna give him a vote. No, they're not about playing fair. So what's up with it? What y'all gonna do to protect us? And it's a problem and it's disgusting to me. But we gotta continue to educate. I mean, that's all we can do. There's nothing else that we can do, right? We can't just sit there and take it. We gotta do what we can. But
I mean, I think I said that years ago. Democrats play scared.
fold like a shirt. They fold like a shirt. And the thing about it is, we've been talking about this. Well, there's been a lot said recently about critical race theory, and I was wondering. I said, where does this come from? And critical race theory is a course that's really taught in law school or higher education courses, and it talks about analyzing race and the different systems that are used to keep people down through racist structures, right? So we've been seeing a lot of people going to school boards talking about, I don't want my kids taught critical race theory. That they ain't teaching nothing like that in high school. Hell, we didn't even learn about it ourselves when we were in school, but we know about it now. We know about how the laws were put in place to keep us down. We know how the banking institution, how they stole money from us. We know about all these things, right? And how to look at this system in a critical way. But they don't want us to have that. So that's why it's so imperative that, like Arika said, that we do this, that we do think that we do think critically and teach our children to think critically when it comes to the systems to put into place to hold us back.
Not only were we not taught some of the stuff in school, we were taught exactly the opposite. Like I vividly remember commercials trying to recruit young brothers to go to the military, and they're like, I got the GI Bill and I can go to college and all that, not knowing that a lot of times brothers was excluded from that. They were not included in reaping the benefits from that.
My father was prime example. He went, served in two branches of the military, Army and the Air Force, fought in Korea, came back thinking he was going to be able to use the GI Bill, and no. He was working at the VA, and he said, man, I was doing jobs lower than the candy striper, wiping asses. And he said, man, forget this. I'm going to get me a regular job. And he fought for this country. So that's why I like when people say, I know I'm going on a rant, people say like, oh man, I'm going to leave and go live in Jamaica. I'm going to live in wherever. I'm not. I'm staying right here until I die, until they give us what we owe. Because for real, our people fought for this country, and you don't get more patriotic than that. My dad wasn't even a full citizen when he went to fight in Korea. Then, he was fighting in Korea. It might have been, the Voting Rights Act was in 1963. My dad was fighting before. He wasn't even a full citizen. You don't get more patriotic than that.
I think the thing about it is that we have these individual stories and accounts, but we don't share them with people. We don't talk about it enough. Like my uncle, he served. I didn't even think about the fact that, he wasn't a complete citizen, or people might not have been, entitled to all of the benefits that were, allegedly available to them at the time. And so when we hear about stuff like that, it kind of gives us a little bit of different perspective about how far we've come, where we're going, what we need to be doing and focused on. And just leads me right back to my grandparents and stuff. They came from a generation where children were seen and not heard. And so they had questions that never got answered. we've got questions that never got answered. I want our children to have all the answers that I have. At least they can have it as much information as I have. I don't have all the answers because I wasn't allowed to, get that information from everybody, but whatever I can find and come up with, I want to give it to them. I want them to give it to their kids. And that way, things about like the GI Bill, fighting for this country, what real patriotism is, and all this other things, I think that it's important for us to have our own understanding of what these things really mean. Because when you hear patriotism, oh, I fought for this country, fight for a country that won't fight for you. And then tell me what patriotism is. Fight for a country that when you come back, you're treated worse than a candy stripe or something like that. Explain it to them in that context so that we can really understand what our ancestors went through and why we fight so hard for ADOS now. And then that context, that information, that knowledge is what's going to shape the next generation of fighters.
And the crazy part about this, and lastly, I'll let y'all jump in. I'm talking about my dad. I'm not talking about like my great grandfather or anything. I'm talking about my dad. This happened recently. So don't get to thinking, okay, y'all just get over it. Nah, we still going through it. And we have been, for real.
And that's why, the cost is adding up. Interest is being calculated hourly, because think about the strides that we could have made if our grandparents were allowed to take advantage of some of those things. And that's just like you said, our immediate parents and grandparents, not to even talk about 200, 300 years ago, if they were allowed to participate when they were just giving away land, basically saying, come out here, settle it, we'll pay you to do it, all that kind of stuff. That's what builds generational wealth. Those people still have those lands. And if not, they sold it to some pipeline, honestly, that came through and paid them an arm and a leg so they could build a gas pipeline on and stuff like that. All that stuff is that's not critical race theory. That's just fact.
And you think about the housing. Think about all the white soldiers who were able to get housing. Think about how we were discriminated against for housing and the wealth that you're able to establish through housing. And look at where we're at right now. People needing housing. You see so many Black people who are homeless. And you look at, if somebody wants to buy a house right now, you look at somebody who is renting and you look how much it costs right now, the level of inflation that we're going through right now. They say, I saw a news report today where it was like, we are at a point now where people they can't just take for granted they're going to be able to pay their bills and buy food. And who do you think those people are? The people who had the least amount of wealth is who? Us, ADOS. So yeah, we need something to happen, and that we need to know about it, and we need to keep the pressure on Joe and those Democrats.
Kamala, don't just say Joe.
Boy, she's so deep. She's so dysfunctional. I saw something where they're talking about her office. They trying to keep the news down. There's a lot of dysfunction in her office. I'm like, man, she had the same thing going on during her campaign. Like, what's up, girl? Get it together.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in any Democrat, really.
Here we go, Republican.
No,
hey, see, what color shirt is that you wearing?
It's red. It's
okay.
It's
Make America. There you go. Make America great. I see the M.
Jimmy V. That's what it is.
Okay.
I had an ESPYs the other day, so I usually wear it around this time anyway. That's a good speech too, by the way, if you haven't listened to it. But I was saying, what I was going to say was that was really deep, just listening to what you said, Marv, about how he went over there to fight in Korea and they weren't even considered citizens at the time. So I just said, stuff that like I knew your dad fought, but I guess until you put it that way and you're just really like, wow, that wasn't so long ago, because a lot of times when people, they're so quick to be like, oh, it was a long time ago, and no one's like that now. And then, like you said, Marv, a lot of that stuff, what they went through affects us. And like you said, Lab, if they, stole property or, or something like that, and then say there's oil on it, and like you said, they sell it to a pipeline, and then they become millionaires and then pass that down to generation. Like, whose land did they steal, or who did they trick out not getting it, or who they wouldn't let get it, or force them to sign over something. Just stuff like that. Like, it really is affecting how, things are today. So yeah, I don't know. It just made me think a little bit.
Man, listen, I got on my mama's side, we dealing with that right now. Land that our ancestors were tricked out of, and now if you go there, we don't even have hardly any access to it. But you know who does? The oil companies. And you think we got paid like we supposed to get paid? No. Think about all of us. All of us went to college. Probably all of us got some sort of student loan. Think of our parents or our grandparents that had access to a home, to a house where they could take out a loan against that house to help pay for our education instead of us having to take a student loan, and how much more of an advantage we could get to our children. It's deep. It's deep. And that's why they don't want us to have us thinking about it. That's why they want us dumb. And that's why the thing that you're doing, Arika, by educating the youth, is good. And it's why what we're doing with this show, for whoever who listens and gets this knowledge, we hope that they take it to other people and spread it so that, we can eventually make a change. So, but anyway, I think we talked about it enough. I can't talk today. Make sure you subscribe to the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at manlistenshow. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We got a lot of followers here recently, but we need some more. We need to be about at 300. We about a little over halfway to that. Let's get to 300 followers. Make sure you leave comments. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. For everybody who leaves a comment, we really appreciate you. Keep doing that. Shout out to everyone who watches, and we'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Peace. Tell those Democrats to get rid of these student loans.
Peace.
Hey, I was about to say, Joe.
He has
Joe,
been.
come on.
Come on, Joe.
Day one.
Come on, Joe.
He
Day
just
one.
He eliminated debt for three colleges who were considered to be defrauding students.
Yeah,
Just 3?
I saw that.
That ain't what he
What
said.
about-
Three additional in the article I read. I don't know the full extent. My student loan still exists.
That ain't what he,
That's not what he said, right?
Hey, I'm happy I'm happy for them folks that went to the school that Little Romeo was promoting, But for the rest of
ICDC
got money too.